My fiancé betrayed me on our wedding day and ran off with my best man. They thought I'd crumble until I triggered the trap they never saw coming. I, a 34-year-old male, met my fiancée, a 30-year-old female named Rachel, 6 years ago at a friend's house party. She was hot with curves in all the right places. Smart as hell, and we just clicked right away. We ended up talking until 4 in the morning about everything from our favorite movies to our career goals. She was into gaming too, which was a major plus. Not just casual mobile games, but legit stuff. She had a custom PC build and everything. After dating for 5 years, I proposed. We were on this hiking trip in Colorado, reached an amazing viewpoint after a brutal 6-mile climb, and I popped the question. She cried, said yes, and we spent the next year planning this expensive wedding. I'm talking $45,000 plus when all was said and done. My bank account was crying, but I figured it was worth it. For what I thought was my forever person. We had the venue, the catering, the flowers, the DJ, everything booked and paid for. My best friend since middle school, Alex, was going to be my best man. This wasn't just some friendship. We were like brothers. We grew up on the same street, went to the same schools, even shared a dorm in college. His family treated me like their second son after my parents split when I was 15. I spent more holidays at his house than mine. We stayed up all night playing video games, covered for each other when we did dumb teenage stuff, and helped each other through first breakups, first jobs, all that coming-of-age crap. When my dad died 3 years ago, Alex was the one who helped me through that. He flew across the country the day he heard the news, no questions asked, and stayed with me for a week. He had keys to my place and knew all my secrets, that level of trust. Alex and I both worked in software development. We started our app company 5 years ago. I handled all the back-end development and architecture, the stuff that actually makes things work, while he did the front-end design and all the client meetings, basically making things look pretty and talking to people. I'm not the most social guy, so we started our app company. Partnership worked perfectly. I could disappear into code for days while he handled the SCH smoozing. I'll give credit where it's due. The dude was charismatic. He could talk investors into opening their wallets like he had some kind of mind control powers. We'd been grinding for years on this messaging app with enhanced security features. It started in my apartment, with just the two of us living on microwave food and energy drinks. Eventually, we got some seed funding, hired a few junior developers, and moved into a real office space. Finally, after all that hustle, we got this huge offer from a big tech company, let's call them Megate Tech, to buy our company. We're talking mid-6 figures each, the kind of money that lets you breathe for the first time in your adult life. Now, about Rachel, there were signs I completely missed. Sometimes I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and find her in the living room on her phone, and she'd quickly lock it when she saw me. She'd be working late, but her location would show she was nowhere near her office. I completely missed. When I'd casually mention it, she'd get defensive and say her phone's GPS was messed up. There were other things, too, like how she suddenly got interested in our company finances about 6 months before the wedding. She never cared before, but suddenly she wanted to know all about our valuation, acquisition timeline, and payout structure. I thought she was just taking an interest in my work, maybe planning our financial future together. Rachel even started making comments about how Alex was so successful and knew how to treat a woman after he leased that overpriced BMW. She'd bring him up in random conversations. Alex says, "This restaurant is amazing." Or, Alex thinks, "You work too much." But I was too busy coding our new app feature to connect the dots. Plus, I trusted both of them completely. The thought of them betraying me literally never crossed my mind. Then one day, I came home and found them both at my place. They claimed Alex was just dropping off some documents, but they looked weirdly startled. I literally thought to myself, that's suspicious, and still didn't connect the dots. Like, how freaking oblivious can one dude be? That's suspicious. Little voice in my head was like, dude, something's off. But I immediately shut it down. This was Alex, my brother. Basically, no way he'd do that to me. The most obvious sign came during a dinner with some investors. Rachel insisted on coming and wore this expensive dress. Throughout the dinner, she kept steering the conversation toward the acquisition timeline. One of the investors made a joke about how eager she seemed, and she laughed it off, saying, "I'm just excited for Damon to finally get what he deserves." The way she emphasized finally made me pause, but then Alex jumped in and, a week before the wedding, changed the subject. A week before the wedding, I noticed Rachel seemed distant. I asked if she was getting cold feet, and she looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Of course not. I've never been more sure of anything." I believed her because why wouldn't I? Every time these thoughts crept in, I'd push them away. This is my brother, I'd tell myself. The guy who's had my back since we were kids. He wouldn't. And Rachel, she was about to become my wife. We were planning a life together. My brain just wouldn't let me imagine things differently because the picture they formed was too painful to consider. So, I buried myself in work instead, telling myself I was just being paranoid until the wedding day arrived. Everything was set. The venue looked amazing. Guests all seated, and I was standing there in my overpriced tux, sweating my ass off next to my groomsmen. My brother Nick was adjusting my tie and giving me a pep talk about married life. My mom was in the front row, already dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Rachel's family looked perfect, in their coordinated outfits. Her dad in his expensive suit, her mom with that judgmental smile she always had. 30 minutes went by. No bride. The wedding planner kept checking her phone with a panicked expression. At 45 minutes, I was legit freaking out. People were starting to whisper. My mom came up to ask what was happening, and I had no freaking clue what to tell her. Then, Alex walked in through the side door. He was supposed to be with me. He was my best man, but he was coming in from outside. His face was completely blank as he came up to me. "She's not coming," he said with this weird smirk. "She found someone better." The room went dead silent. 150 people stared at me, waiting for the meltdown. "What the hell are you talking about?" I managed to get out. "She's with me now. Has been for months." Then this actually pulled out his phone and showed me a selfie of them together from last night. They were in bed, her head on his chest, both smiling like they just won the lottery. "We didn't want to hurt you," but he shrugged like we were discussing a canceled dinner plan. "These things happen, bro." My best friend since I was 12, my fiancé together behind my back. Nick started getting up, looking like he was ready to knock Alex out, but I held up my hand to stop him. This wasn't going to go down like that. Not here. Not with everyone watching. The weird part, instead of losing it, I felt this strange calm come over me, like everything suddenly made perfect sense. All those little moments, the weird excuses, the late nights, the coincidental meetings, it all clicked into place like the final pieces of a puzzle I didn't even know I was solving. I looked at Alex, then at all our friends and family staring at me, then back at him. "Congrats," I said quietly. "Hope you guys are happy." I turned to our guests, forced a smile, and said, "Thanks for coming, everyone, but apparently there won't be a wedding today. The open bar is still paid for, so enjoy yourselves." Then I just walked out with my brother following me. I could hear the explosion of voices behind me, some gasping, some already starting to gossip. Rachel's mom letting out this dramatic, "Oh my God," but I just kept walking straight out the door, into the parking lot, into my car. My phone exploded immediately. My sister, my mom, Rachel's parents, friends. I turned that off, drove to a hotel, checked in, and just sat there staring at the ceiling. My brother wanted to, the next morning, stay, but I told him I needed space. I just sat there in this generic hotel room, still in my wedding tux, trying to process how my entire life had just imploded in the span of 5 minutes. The next morning, my buddy Eric, who I've known since college, called from a different phone since I was ignoring all calls. He told me Rachel had already posted on Instagram a picture of her and Alex with the caption, "When you finally find your true soulmate, no regrets, new chapter." 24 freaking hours after leaving me at the altar, the post was full of comments from her basic friends, saying stuff like, "You deserve to be happy and follow your heart, girl." Like I was some villain in her story. One of her bridesmaids actually commented, "The heart wants what it wants," with a bunch of heart emojis. Like, "Are you serious right now?" Eric also told me that most of the wedding guests stayed at the reception. Free food and drinks, I guess. He said it was awkward as hell with people split between gossiping about the drama and trying to pretend they were just at a normal party. My mom apparently cussed out Rachel's parents before leaving. Wish I could have seen that. My mom's. The company acquisition. Normally the sweetest person ever, but when she goes off, it's legendary. Meanwhile, our company acquisition was scheduled to finalize in just 2 weeks. The deal would make us both millionaires, around $580,000 each after taxes. Alex knew the timing perfectly. He'd get my fiancée and the payout all at once. The perfect backstabbing combo. Eric had one more piece of info that made everything click. He overheard Rachel at the hotel bar last night. She was wasted, bragging to her friend Jen about how Alex was going places and how she upgraded just in time for the big payday. She actually said Damon was a good stepping stone, but Alex is my lottery ticket. That's when I knew this wasn't just some affair. This was calculated. They timed everything, waiting until right before the acquisition to make their move. And the wedding day reveal that was just for maximum drama and humiliation. Alex always did have a thing for theatrical moments. I spent the next 3 days in a weird haze, sleeping at random hours, ordering room service, ignoring everyone. Finally, my brother basically broke down my hotel room door and forced me to come stay with him. Enough wallowing, he said. Time to figure out how to destroy these that's when the gears started turning. 2 weeks after the non-wedding, I was staying at my brother's place while figuring out next steps, sleeping on his couch, using his spare laptop since mine was still at my apartment. When I finally went back to my apartment, Rachel had taken all her stuff, plus my PlayStation 5 and the 75-inch TV I bought last year. She left her key with a note saying, "I hope someday you'll understand that sometimes people just grow apart. I deserve to be happy. She deserves to be happy. Like happiness is something you're entitled to at someone else's expense. Freaking rich. Like, if you want to leave someone, just leave." But this whole dramatic production they put on, making me look like a fool in front of everyone I know, that was a choice. Alex had been blowing up my phone about discussing the business situation like adults. 23 missed calls. His latest text, "Don't." The audacity of this guy. Throw away everything we built because you can't handle personal rejection. Be professional. Professional. This coming from the dude who literally screwed my fiancée and humiliated me at my own wedding. The audacity of this guy is actually impressive, like in a sociopathic way. The most insulting part, Rachel's mom called me yesterday. Get this. She tried to convince me that things weren't working between us anyway, and that I should be grateful Rachel found someone before we made a legal commitment. Then she had the nerve to ask if they could keep the wedding gifts people had already sent, because most were from her side of the family anyway. I hung up mid-sentence. Some people are just unbelievable. But what they don't know. Here's what they don't know. Alex doesn't know that for the past 18 months, I've been developing a completely new security algorithm for our app, working nights and weekends on my own time. Those nights when Rachel thought I was just being a workaholic, I was creating something revolutionary. It's this algorithm that made Megate Tech want to buy us out in the first place. Without it, we're just another messaging app in an overcrowded market. I documented everything. Timestamps on all my code commits, development logs saved to my personal cloud, even emails with a patent attorney I hired separately from our company. I've got screenshots, backup files, everything meticulously organized. I'm talking forensic-level documentation. See, in our partnership agreement, anything developed on personal time belongs to the individual, not the company. Alex had pushed for this clause years ago when he wanted to do some side design. My lawyer. Consulting. Ironic. The very clause he insisted on is about to bite him in the ass. Megatech specifically mentioned in their offer that my security algorithm was the primary value driver, accounting for about 75% of the acquisition price. Without it, our app is just another messaging platform. I've met with my lawyer Kevin 4 times already. He's a college buddy who specializes in tech IP law. We went through every line of our partnership agreement, every email between us and Megate, every piece of documentation for my algorithm. Kevin says it's airtight. The algorithm is mine, not the company's. This is beautiful, Kevin said during our last meeting, flipping through the documentation. Alex completely screwed himself. If I were a less professional person, I'd call this poetic justice. Oh, and I found some interesting texts on our company chat backup. Alex to Rachel 3 months ago. Once the deal closes and we're millionaires, We can. Back up, Alex. Break the news. Damon's too passive to fight back. Rachel's response, he'll probably just forgive you. He always does. You said it yourself. He needs you more than you need him. They have no clue what's coming. They think I'm just some pushover who will roll over and take it. The quiet coder who will just accept whatever scraps they throw my way. But here's the thing about us quiet types. We observe. We plan. We execute. With precision. I had a call with Sarah, the CEO at Megatech. I told her there were some complications with our make them pay partnership that might affect the acquisition. She was concerned but intrigued. We scheduled a private meeting for next week where I'll lay out everything, the algorithm, the documentation, and a new proposed structure for the acquisition. All while Alex thinks we're business as usual on track for our 50-50 split. My brother's been amazing through all this. He's got this construction company gig, so he's out most days, but evenings we just game and talk strategy. Make them pay, he keeps saying. Not just emotionally, literally make them pay. And that's exactly what I plan to do. 1 month after the wedding disaster, Alex showed up at my brother's place at midnight, pounding on the door. My brother opened up. I was in the shower and Alex tried to push past him to find me. Bad idea. My brother works construction and put Alex on his, but real quick. Like literally picked him up and set him down on the sidewalk like he was rearranging furniture. Alex started yelling that I was sabotaging years of work and being a little about Rachel. Said I needed to man up and separate business from personal. My brother's neighbors called. The cops and Alex barely avoided getting arrested for disorderly conduct. The officers took one look at my brother 6 feet 4 inches and built like a tank and figured Alex was the aggressor. Not wrong. Rachel's gone full social media victim posted. This long rant about how some men can't handle strong women making their own choices and how the heart wants what it wants. Every basic inspirational quote you can imagine, like she's collecting them for a toxic positivity bingo card. She's rebranded herself as this brave truth seeker who had the courage to follow her heart rather than, a cheater who screwed over her fiancé. Her bridesmaid, Jessica, actually reached out to me to apologize. Turns out Rachel had been planning this for months. Even asked Jessica for advice on how to let Damon down gently. Jessica told her to just break up with me like a normal person, not wait until the wedding day. Rachel's response, they fell in love. More complicated than that. The timing has to be right. The timing right before our company sells. What a coincidence. Jessica also told me Rachel had been tracking the acquisition progress obsessively. Every time Alex came home with an update about the deal, she'd get all excited and start browsing luxury condos online. She even made a Pinterest board called New Life, New Style with all these fancy interior designs and expensive furniture. Subtle. Alex's sister Natalie called me yesterday. We used to be close. I even helped her move last year and set up her entire home network for free. Spent a whole weekend running cables through her walls, setting up her mesh Wi-Fi system, configuring her smart home devices. She had the nerve to tell me Alex and Rachel didn't mean for this to happen. They fell in love. It happens. But you're still business partners, and you need to be mature about the acquisition. You need to be mature. Laughed so hard I snorted. Mature? Like screwing your best friend's fiancé behind his back? That kind of mature? She tried to argue that love is complicated and how Alex has always supported you, and blah blah blah. I cut her off. He could have broken things off like an adult. Instead, he waited until my wedding day to humiliate me in front of everyone I know. That was a choice, Natalie. A deliberate choice. She hung up on me. What these idiots don't realize is that I've been 3 steps ahead this whole time. Every conversation, every text, every email, where they discussed their plan, all documented. I even recorded a conversation with Rachel 2 months ago, where she casually asked about how the acquisition money would be distributed and what would happen if one of us left the company before the sale. I thought she was just interested in our business. Turns out she was doing reconnaissance. Rachel doesn't know I have access to her cloud backups. She used my laptop once to log into her accounts and never logged out. I've got screenshots of her texting her friend. Alex says once they get the money, they'll buy out that condo we looked at. $2 million views. The acquisition meeting with Megatech is tomorrow. Alex thinks we're both attending to sign papers and collect our millions. He has absolutely no idea that I've already had 2 private meetings with their executive team. The last piece fell into place yesterday when I met with Sarah from Megate. I laid out everything: the algorithm documentation, the partnership agreement, the patent applications. She looked impressed. "This is unusually thorough," she said, flipping through my documentation. "Most developers aren't this meticulous." "I like to cover my bases," I replied, "especially when it comes to IP this valuable." She nodded. I just smiled. Slowly. "And you're sure you want to restructure the deal this way? It's going to create some tension with your partner." I just smiled. "I'm counting on it." The Megate acquisition meeting day came. I got there 30 minutes early with my lawyer, Kevin. Sarah and their legal team were already there. We went over the final details of our agreement before Alex arrived. Sarah seemed almost excited. Turns out she had dealt with a similar situation in her earlier days as a developer. "Sometimes people need to learn these lessons the hard way," she said with this knowing smile. When Alex strolled in 10 minutes late with Rachel, waiting in the lobby, the audacity, he froze. Instead of the standard conference room setup he expected, it looked more like a deposition. Me, my lawyer Sarah, and 4 Megate tech executives all seated on one side of the table, a single chair on the other side, like a scene from a legal drama. His swagger disappeared instantly. No more confident smirk. No more relaxed posture. He looked like a kid who just got called to the principal's office. "What's going on?" he asked. My lawyer slid a document folder across the table. Inside was everything. Complete. He asked my lawyer. Documentation of my sole development of the security algorithm, including timestamps, Git commits, development logs, and patent applications filed in my name only, plus screenshots of his texts with Rachel discussing how to time their betrayal around the acquisition. "You can't do this," he stammered, his face turning that weird blotchy red it does when he's panicking. "This is our company. That's our technology." "Actually," I said calmly, "the company is ours, but this specific algorithm is mine alone. I developed it on my personal time, documented everything meticulously, and as per Section 8.3 of our partnership agreement, which you drafted, by the way, it belongs solely to me." I could see him mentally flipping through the partnership agreement, trying to remember the exact wording of that clause. The dawning realization on his face was priceless, like watching someone solve a puzzle only to realize the picture is of their own downfall. Sarah cleared her throat. "We've reviewed the dawning realization. All the evidence, Alex. While we value both your contributions to the original platform, this proprietary security algorithm represents approximately 75% of why we wanted to acquire your company." Alex looked like he was going to throw up, but we agreed the money was supposed to be split 50-50ths. "The deal has been restructured," Sarah explained, her voice all business. "Based on intellectual property valuation, Damon will receive 85% of the proceeds. You'll receive 15% for your contribution to the original platform design and client base." Alex turned to me, his face twisted with rage. "You planned this all along, didn't you? This is about Rachel." "No," I replied. "This is about you." The trap card. Thinking I was too stupid to protect myself. I was developing this algorithm while you were busy screwing my fiancée and planning to screw me financially. You activated my trap card, dumbass. For a split second, I thought he might lunge across the table at me. Then he glanced at the Megate tech executives and seemed to remember where he was. "This is," he sputtered. "You can't just change the terms like this." Actually, my lawyer chimed in. The original terms were based on a 50-50 partnership with shared IP. Since the primary IP is solely owned by Damon, the terms adjust accordingly. It's all quite standard in tech acquisitions. The meeting continued with Alex completely sidelined. The restructured acquisition would proceed with me receiving $850,000 and Alex getting $150,000. Both of us would still need to stay with MegaTX for the 12-month transition period as originally planned, but in completely separate departments. Alex tried to argue, tried to claim that he had contributed ideas to the algorithm, but I had receipts for everything, documentation of every brainstorming session, every code commit, every test run. He couldn't poke a single hole in my case. By the end of the meeting, the payoff, just sat there defeated. The Megate tech legal team pushed the final papers across the table for signatures. Alex stared at them for a long moment, then signed without a word. Not like he had much choice. 15% was better than nothing, and he knew it. When I walked out to the lobby, Rachel was sitting there, scrolling through her phone. She looked up expectantly, clearly waiting for Alex to emerge with news of their windfall. She was dressed like she was ready to go celebrate. Designer dress, fancy handbag, full makeup. The look on her face when she saw me was priceless. "Congratulations," I said, just loud enough for the receptionist to hear. "You left me for a man who's worth exactly 15% of what you thought he was." Her expression went from confusion to shock to anger in about 3 seconds flat. Before she could respond, Alex emerged from the conference room, looking like he'd aged 10 years in an hour. I walked out feeling 50 pounds lighter. For the first time since the wedding day, I actually smiled. My brother was waiting outside in his truck. "How'd it go?" he asked as I climbed in. "Exactly as planned," I, "New beginnings," replied. We drove straight to a diner where Eric and a couple of other friends were waiting. I told them everything. The meeting, Alex's face, Rachel's reaction. We laughed until our sides hurt. "To new beginnings," Eric said, raising his coffee mug. I clinked my mug against his. "And to karma being a glorious 3 months after the acquisition, life took some interesting turns. First, my new role at Meg8 went surprisingly well. I'm heading up there security division with a team of 12 developers under me. The algorithm I created is being implemented across all their products, and there's talk of a significant bonus structure if it performs as expected. My new coworkers are solid, actually appreciate the work I do instead of just seeing me as the quiet guy who makes the back-end work, while someone else takes the credit. Sarah's become something of a mentor. She's been in the industry for 20+ years and knows every trick in the book. "You handled that acquisition situation like a pro," she told me during our one-on-one last week. "Most developers would have either rolled over or gone scorched earth. You played it smart." Alex, meanwhile, was relegated to the UI/UX team, basically doing the same design work he could have done without selling our company. I heard from one of the designers that he tried to pitch himself as some kind of tech visionary during his first team meeting, and the lead designer shut him down hard. "We don't need visionaries," she apparently. "We don't need visionaries," said. "We need people who can follow design specs and meet deadlines." We haven't spoken directly since the acquisition meeting. When we end up in the same room for company-wide meetings, he either glares at me or stares at his shoes. The money hit my account last month. After taxes and setting aside a chunk for investments, I bought a sweet lake house outside the city. It's peaceful here, great for coding and clearing my head. 2 bedrooms, a massive deck overlooking the water, and high-speed fiber internet. Priorities, man. My brother and Eric have been helping me renovate it on weekends. Turning the finished basement into the ultimate gaming room was therapeutic. Got an 85 inches OLED, custom gaming PC, every console known to man, and the comfiest recliners money can buy. Things really started imploding for Alex and Rachel about 6 weeks after the acquisition. Turns out their relationship was built on $signs, not actual compatibility. According to mutual friends, when Rachel realized Alex's payout was significantly smaller than expected, she started reconsidering their future. They had already put a down payment on a luxury condo downtown. Rachel dumped Alex that they suddenly couldn't afford. One of the junior developers who lives in their building told me they've been fighting constantly, loud enough that neighbors have complained multiple times. Apparently, Rachel was furious that they had to downgrade from the penthouse they wanted to a much smaller unit on a lower floor. I ran into Jessica, Rachel's former bridesmaid, at a coffee shop last week. She filled me in on the latest drama. Rachel dumped Alex after they had a huge fight about money. Apparently, she was furious that he misled her about how much he'd be getting from the acquisition, called him a failure and a disappointment, accused him of ruining her life plan. She actually said, and I quote, "I didn't leave Damon for this." Jessica told me, looking disgusted, like it was all some kind of investment strategy for her. Here's the best part. Rachel actually tried to contact me first through mutual friends, then directly. Her text, "I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. We should talk. I've realized what's truly important in life." Yeah, $850,000 is pretty important, I guess. I didn't respond, but I did forward her message to Alex. His response was just a string of angry. Alex's sister apologized. Emojis. Apparently, she hadn't told him she was trying to crawl back to me. According to Jessica, this led to their final blowout fight, after which Rachel packed her bags and moved in with her friend Jen temporarily. The strangest development, Alex's little sister, Natalie, reached out to apologize. Unlike the rest of his family, she said, what they did was completely messed up and she was ashamed to have defended it. We've actually grabbed coffee a few times. She's cool. People just got stuck in the middle of her brother's mess. She told me Alex's parents are barely speaking to him. His dad especially feels betrayed since they treated me like family for so many years. Dad told him that some lines you just don't cross. Natalie said during our last coffee meetup. Said he raised him. Dating again. Better than that. I started casually dating again. Nothing serious, but it's nice to know life goes on. My buddy Eric set me up with his girlfriend's friend Melissa. She's a software engineer, too, which is refreshing. She actually understands what I do and doesn't zone out when I talk about work. We've been on 3 dates so far, and it's been nice. No pressure, no drama, just 2 people enjoying each other's company. The lake house has become something of a weekend hangout spot for my friends. We have these coding sessions that turn into barbecues that turn into gaming marathons. It's the kind of peaceful, drama-free existence I didn't know I needed. For anyone going through something similar, sometimes the best revenge isn't some elaborate scheme. Focus on building your best life because the universe has a way of balancing the scales if you just give it time and space to work. So it's been 1 year since my original post. I wasn't planning to post an update, but holy hell did things come full circle. Yesterday, I was at this industry conference in Chicago, just minding my business at the hotel bar after the day's sessions when Alex's voice came from behind me. Can I buy you a drink? He looked rough. Rumpled clothes, dark. I messed up, man. Circles under his eyes. That expensive watch he used to flaunt nowhere to be seen. I should have told him to get lost. But wait, I wanted to watch this. Sure, I said. Soda with a lime. We sat in awkward silence until he finally spoke. I messed up, man. Badly. No. Sherlock. Rachel left me 6 months ago. He continued staring into his drink. Moved to LA with some producer she met. I'm still paying off the debt from that condo down payment we lost. And Meg 8 is phasing out my department in the restructuring. I just sipped my drink, letting him talk, enjoying watching him squirm. I lost everything. Damon, my girlfriend, my job security, most of my friends. Even my parents are disappointed in me. Dad said I threw away a 20-year friendship for nothing. That's rough, buddy, but I'm not sure what you want from me. Alex took a deep. I'm launching my own security firm. Breath. I heard you're launching your own security firm after your contract with Meg 8 ends next month. Now we get to it. Word travels fast, I said. I know you've already got venture capital funding lined up. 1, $5 million, right? 2, I corrected him. Plus options. He stared into his drink. I was hoping maybe you could use someone with my experience for old time's sake. The nerve of this guy betrays me and now wants me to rescue him. Like I'm some kind of backup plan for when his life falls apart. For old time's sake, I repeated. Like the time you betrayed the trust one put in you. Those old times. I know I don't deserve your help, he said quietly. But we were like brothers once. I just smiled, then opened my phone and showed him a text from Rachel. I got a couple of weeks back. Alex told. I got a couple of weeks back. Me about your new company. I've always believed in your vision. Maybe we could meet for coffee. I've changed. I showed him the screen. Still coordinating your attacks. I see. The color drained from his face. I swear I didn't. I cut him off. You know what's funny? A year ago, this would have been the perfect revenge moment. You begging for a job. Rachel, trying to weasel her way back in now that I'm successful again. I could crush you both, but the thing is, Alex, I genuinely don't care anymore. You're just some guy I used to know. You and Rachel are just cautionary tales in my life story. I finished my drink and stood up. I'm not going to help you. In hell, I'd never hire you. Not because I'm angry, but because I only work with people I trust, and life's too short to look over my shoulder. As I walked away, he called after me. So that's it. Look, man, I know what I did is unforgivable. For shit's sake, she showed us both her. Life's been good. Truth. She's a gold digger, and it took me long to realize that. Are you letting some ruin our friendship? You're just going to leave me with nothing? I turned back. I didn't ruin our friendship for her. You did that. I continued. You still have that 15%, Alex. Invest it wisely this time. And hey, at least I told you to your face instead of leaving you standing alone at the altar. I left him with that, then walked out, feeling like the final chapter was finally closed. Life's been good. The new security firm is taking off. My new girlfriend, Melissa, and I have been dating for 8 months now. She's respectful, humble, has her own business, and doesn't own my bank account. My lake house renovation is complete, and I've started mentoring young developers on weekends. The best. Revenge isn't about making others suffer. It's about building such an amazing life that those who hurt you become irrelevant footnotes in your success story.